The day I found out I was pregnant, I ran into my husband, Chief Nico Ma, at the hospital accompanying his adopted sister Ria Zong for her prenatal checkup. Nico Ma immediately asked me for a divorce when he saw me. He explained that Ria Zong, now a widow, was pregnant, and the only way to secure her a job to support her 2 children was to take this drastic step. He added that the divorce was only temporary. Once Ria Zong secured a stable, easy job through his connections, he would remarry me. I smiled and nodded in agreement to Nico Ma, then immediately scheduled an abortion. In my past life, I had told Nico Ma I was also pregnant, and because of that, he didn't divorce me, but Ria Zong, after her pregnancy became visible, was accused of carrying a bastard child. Unable to bear the humiliation, she took her 5-year-old daughter and chose to end their lives. On the night of Ria Zong's burial, Nico Ma bound me tightly and gagged me. With bloodshot eyes, he demanded of me, "Why did you tell me about the pregnancy? Do you know the child in Ria's belly was mine? Because you refused to divorce, Ria and my child are dead, you're the murderer, and you must pay with your blood." He kicked and punched me until I miscarried on the spot. But that wasn't enough. Nico Ma locked the door, doused me in gasoline, and struck a match. I was burned alive. Given a second chance, I will change my fate and, in the process, witness the well-deserved downfall of that despicable pair. Nico Ma and Ria Zong. I was reborn to the moment when Nico Ma asked me for a divorce, watching Nico Ma carefully supporting Ria Zong as he said the exact same words to me as in my previous life. I almost thought I was dreaming. In my previous life, I encountered Nico Ma and Ria Zong at the hospital right after finding out I was pregnant. Nico Ma didn't ask why I came to the hospital and directly proposed a fake divorce to me. In my previous life, of course I wouldn't agree. Especially since I had just found out I was pregnant. After being married to Nico Ma for 3 years, this child was the one I had longed for. I thought Nico Ma would be as happy about his arrival as I was, but I never imagined it was all just my self-righteous delusion. Seeing my silence, Nico Ma thought I was unwilling. Frowning at me, he said, "Why aren't you speaking? You don't want to. How can you be so heartless as a woman?" Ria Zong immediately teared up. "Sister-in-law, I beg you. I can't raise 2 children alone without a job. Please have mercy and help me. I'll kneel for you." She made a gesture as if to kneel, though of course she wouldn't actually do it. Nico Ma, who cherished her, immediately stopped Ria Zong. "Why would you kneel to her? You're pregnant. What if you hurt the baby in your belly?" I tightened my grip on the pregnancy test report in my hand, my gaze fixed intently on Nico Ma's face, not missing the slightest change in his expression. His eyes remained fixed on Ria Zong, his affection for her unmistakable. How foolish I was in my past life. I actually couldn't see that Nico Ma didn't have even the slightest bit of love for me. I actually fantasized that he would be overjoyed because I was pregnant. Nico Ma and I met through a blind date. He was very handsome, and with a good position in the military. I fell for him at first sight. We got married less than a week after we met. After marriage, Nico Ma was always cold towards me, showing not a trace of care or affection beyond fulfilling basic obligations. I thought it was just his nature. But everything changed after Ria Zong returned. Ria Zong is the child raised by Nico Ma's parents, 3 years younger than Nico Ma. Because of her beauty, she caught the eye of a cadra's son during his rural assignment and followed him back to the city before reaching marriageable age. Ria Zong was brought back by Nico Ma 3 years after our marriage, according to Nico Ma. Her husband had died, and her in-laws looked down on her and the daughter she bore, making their lives so difficult that she had no choice but to return to her parents' home for support. It wasn't until Ria Zong and her daughter were brought back that I discovered the cold and indifferent Nico Ma actually had such a tender and affectionate side. He would fuss over Ria Zong, giving her the majority of his salary and allowances to use. He frequently bought snacks and new clothes for Ria Zong and her daughter. He even secretly took Ria Zong and her daughter out for meals and movies behind my back. I'm so jealous of Nico Ma's kindness towards Ria Zong and her daughter, but I'm a kind person myself. I always thought Nico Ma was only nice to Ria Zong and her daughter out of pity. Since Ria Zong lost her husband and was mistreated by her in-laws, who would have guessed that on the very day I found out I was pregnant? Ria Zong also discovered she was carrying her late husband's posthumous child. Nico Ma asked me for a divorce, wanting to provide security for Ria Zong and her unborn child. Of course I wouldn't agree to such an unreasonable request. I've been married to Nico Ma for 3 years and still haven't gotten pregnant. Because of this, my mother-in-law has been making critical remarks about me, whispering behind my back that I might be infertile. Under this pressure, I've been treading carefully as if on thin ice. I always thought that if I got pregnant, Nico Ma would cherish and care for me more. I believed pregnancy would be the beginning of happiness in my life. Only after dying once did I realize that everything was just my wishful thinking. Nico Ma never had me in his heart. The one he's always held in his heart is Ria Zong. I withdrew my gaze from Nico Ma and nodded lightly. I agree to the divorce. Let's go process the divorce now. Unlike in my previous life, I didn't cling desperately, which pleased Nico Ma. After all, it's a military marriage. Divorce isn't that easy. We have to file a report and get approval from Nico Ma's unit leadership. Agreeing to the divorce finally made Nico Ma look at me properly. His tone softened considerably. Cyan, I'll write the divorce application. But if the leaders ask, just say we're incompatible. Never tell them the truth. After the divorce, we'll still live together. And I'll take care of you just as before. And why is that? I retorted coldly. I'm afraid it might damage Ria's reputation if word gets out. So he actually knows in his heart that this isn't something that can be openly discussed. The only reason he's sweet-talking me is to prevent others from gossiping about his shady relationship with Ria Zong. Right? Haha, how could things be that easy? I turned and walked away without giving a definite answer, seeing that I wouldn't agree. Nico Ma chased after me and grabbed my hand. Are you upset, Cyan? I really just pitied Ria and wanted to help her. Don't overthink it. Once Ria gives birth and finds a stable job, I'll remarry you immediately. Before he could finish his explanation, Ria Zong's startled cry came from behind. Brother Nico, I feel dizzy. Nico Ma immediately turned and ran to Ria Zong, supporting her as she swayed unsteadily. I didn't linger but strode through the corridor straight to the obstetrics and gynecology department, wanting to terminate the pregnancy I had just been confirmed to have. The doctor was surprised. An abortion is no small matter. It requires filing a report. You'll need Chief Ma to sign and state the reason before I can perform it for you. Indeed, in these times, abortion was no trivial matter. The doctor refused to perform the procedure, and with no other options, I had no choice but to leave the hospital in low spirits. Crossing the street, I saw Nico Ma and Ria Zong. The two of them, holding Ria Zong's 5-year-old daughter Little Belle, were cheerfully entering a state-run restaurant. I stood outside the restaurant, watching through the glass as Nico Ma and Ria Zong sat down with Little Belle and ordered a table full of dishes. I saw Nico Ma, with a smile on his face, continuously serving food to Ria Zong and Little Belle. All three of them wore smiles on their faces, harmonious and happy, probably sensing my gaze. Ria Zong tilted her head to look out the window. Upon seeing me, Ria Zong flashed a provocative smile in my direction. I averted my eyes and crossed the street, entering a nearby beef soup restaurant. I ordered a large bowl of beef and vermicelli soup. The beef was tender and chewy, the broth rich and flavorful, and the vermicelli crystal clear. After a big bowl, I ate so heartily that sweat started pouring out. This was the first time I spent money eating out since marrying Nico Ma. In 3 years of marriage, Nico Ma never gave me a single cent of his salary or allowances. I was also too shy to ever ask Nico Ma for a single penny. Not only that, but I also voluntarily contributed my own salary and allowances to support the household. All the household items and utensils were purchased by me. In my past life, I wanted to live a good life with Nico Ma, but I never asked if Nico Ma wanted to live a good life with me. I won't be that foolish in this life. After finishing the beef soup, I went to the nearby supply and marketing cooperative and used the only fabric coupons I had to make 2 sets of clothes for myself. Speaking of these fabric ration coupons, I had painstakingly saved them to make clothes for Nico Ma. Actually, Nico Ma doesn't lack clothes. Since the military provides him with uniforms, it's just that out of love for Nico Ma, I wanted to surprise him. But after I gave him the fabric coupons I'd worked so hard to save, he immediately passed them on to Ria Zong and her daughter to curry favor with Ria Zong, because he doesn't love me. Nico Ma fails to see my efforts, my endurance, or my attempts to please him. His heart was filled only with the woman he loved and her child. Falling flowers are full of affection. But the heartless brook just flows away. That perfectly describes a fool like me. Since I've been given a second chance, such things won't happen again in this lifetime. I need to be kinder to myself, even kinder. After eating and drinking his fill, he returned home with new clothes in hand, only to find Nico Ma and Ria Zong, the mother-daughter pair, had already arrived back first. The three of them were sitting happily in the living room chatting, with a large basin of dirty clothes placed on the floor in front of them. Seeing me return, Nico Ma looked up and said, "You're back. I have something to discuss with you." I gave him a non-committal look. Nico Ma cleared his throat and continued, "Well, Ria is pregnant, and the doctor said she's anemic, so I think we need to improve her diet from now on. You should prepare her a bowl of sugar water with eggs every morning and make her pork rib soup for lunch." With a faint smile, I extended my hand and said, "No problem. Give me the money." "Money? What money?" Nico Ma was taken aback. What else could it be? Of course, the money for the brown sugar eggs and spare ribs. "Do you expect them to fall from the sky if you don't give me the money?" Nico Ma flushed red. It had never crossed his mind that I would ask him for money. After all, in Nico Ma's mind, when he spoke, I would only meekly agree and find ways to comply. Now I actually asked him for money, leaving Nico Ma dumbfounded. His salary and allowances were indeed substantial, but they couldn't withstand the lavish spending to please Ria Zong and her daughter. After Ria Zong and her daughter moved in, they were treated to sumptuous feasts every day, along with malted milk and snacks. Ria Zong also wanted to dress well and enjoy a petit bourgeois lifestyle, spending her free time shopping and watching movies. Of course, shopping wasn't just for fun, it meant buying clothes and novelties. While her little daughter Ding Dang needed toys, Nico Ma had already spent all his savings to please Ria Zong and her daughter, so how could he possibly come up with the money now? In my past life, I was the fool who foolishly used my salary and hard-earned savings to subsidize their lavish lifestyle. This time, I refuse to be the sucker, and Nico Ma is left with no options. He hesitated for a moment, his expression sour, and said, "I don't have any money on me right now. You'll have to cover it first." "I don't have any money either. My salary has all been spent subsidizing this household." My refusal made Nico Ma's expression even uglier. Failing to save face in front of the woman he loved, he glared at me and imperiously pointed at the large basin of dirty clothes on the floor. "I'll figure out the money issue. Now, about another matter. Ria is pregnant. From now on, you'll be responsible for washing her and Xiaoling Dang Dang's clothes, as well as all the household chores. Ria likes cleanliness, so the clothes need to be washed daily, and the bed sheets and covers should be washed every 3 days. He was really treating me like an old servant. I raised an eyebrow and looked at Nico Ma. "On what grounds? You don't want to?" Nico Ma didn't expect me to refuse, and a flash of anger crossed his face. "Zhong Xian, why not? Why should I want to? If you want to take care of Ria Zong, that's your burden to bear. Why should I act as your servant or nanny? Besides, aren't we about to get divorced? What makes you think I'd be willing to keep slaving away for you?" Being rejected in front of Ria Zong and her mother humiliated Nico Ma. He stood up and kicked over the basin full of dirty clothes. Clothes scattered everywhere as Nico Ma roared at me, "If you dare disobey me, I'll never remarry you. Zhong Xian, you'd better think carefully about this. Forget about remarrying then. I won't be your servant anymore anyway." With that, I brushed past them and went straight into the room. Outside, I heard the sound of a chair being kicked over. Nico Ma's voice rose in pitch. "Just you wait. How dare she defy me?" Ignoring Nico Ma's tantrum, I locked the door, opened the drawer, and took out the money I'd painstakingly saved over 3 years. Married to Nico Ma, I've always been frugal and secretly saved money. At that time, I was unaware of Nico Ma's despicable intentions. I saved money for the future. I thought about the expenses of having a child. I thought about the costs of raising a child. So I scrimped and saved, putting some money at the bottom of the box every month. I took out all the money I had saved over the past 3 years and counted it. It turned out to be over 1,000 yuan. Over 1,000 yuan is no small sum. So I carefully sewed the money into my clothes and kept it close to my body. I came here with the army because of Nico Ma, but now that I'm divorced from him, I won't be staying here anymore. I need to plan for the future. I'm not a dodder plant that needs a man to take care of me. The over 1,000 yuan comes not only from my salary but also largely from my writing fees. I have a passion for literature and poetry, and I've been secretly writing and submitting manuscripts over the years. I've published numerous poems and essays under the pen name Green Willow and even released 2 novels. The editor-in-chief of the publishing house where my works were released once wrote to me, offering me a position at their editorial department. But with my heart solely devoted to Nico Ma, I declined the offer. Now I've changed my mind. I took out paper and pen and started writing a letter to the editor-in-chief. I finished the letter with complete focus, ready to send it. When I opened the door, I found Nico Ma was nowhere to be seen. Only Xiaoling Dangdang and Ria Zong were left in the living room. Seeing me come out, Ria Zong wore a mocking smile on her face. Zhong Xian, you were just sulking with Nico, weren't you? You were upset because we didn't invite you to eat, right? I actually wanted to call you for dinner just now, but Nico refused. Do you know why? With a malicious smile, she lowered her voice and spoke word by word. Zhong Xian, because Nico likes me, he doesn't want you disturbing our family. Facing Ria Zong's provocation, I laughed. Is Nico Ma's affection some kind of precious treasure? If you want his liking so badly, I'll just give it to you. Ria Zong scoffed at my response. Are you just being stubborn in defeat, Zhong Xian? Even a fool can see you're head over heels for Nico. You've endured so much humiliation and sacrificed so much for him. Do you really think he'll be moved and finally see your worth? She took a breath and continued, he won't see your worth, because his eyes are only on me. Only I can occupy his heart. Let me tell you this, if I hadn't misjudged someone back then, he was ready to marry me. It's only because I married someone else that he settled for you. You were his second choice. Now that I'm back, you, the consolation prize, can get lost. This was something Ria Zong had never revealed to me in my past life. Yet in this life, she actually took the initiative to lay it all out. Why is this happening again? In my mind, I saw Ria Zong stepping forward with a vicious expression. I know you're pregnant, Zhong Xian. I will never let that bastard in your belly be born to stand between me and Nico. As she spoke, she glared fiercely at my little bell and suddenly charged at me. She headbutted me in the stomach, and caught off guard, I fell to the ground. Seeing me fall, Ria Zong immediately pounced, striking my abdomen forcefully with little bell while screaming for help. Help! Ria Zong continued to cry for help while viciously pounding my stomach together with little bell. Pinned firmly to the ground by the mother-daughter duo, I was in such pain that I couldn't even muster the strength to struggle. A sharp pain shot through my lower abdomen as a warm gush flowed out. I knew exactly what it meant. My child is gone. I mustered all my strength and slapped Ria Zong. At that moment, footsteps were heard outside. Nico Ma rushed in upon hearing Ria Zong's cries for help. Hearing the footsteps, Ria Zong quickly pulled away and sat on the ground, letting out a pained wail. Nico Ma rushed in upon seeing this scene and quickly picked up Ria Zong. Ria, are you okay? Ria Zong had 2 bright red fingerprints on her face, crying pitifully. I'm not okay, my stomach hurts so much. Little Lingdang also chimed in at the right moment. The bad woman hit my mom. She said she wanted to kill the baby in my mom's belly. How dare you? Nico Ma was furious and slapped me, who had just sat up, knocking me to the ground. I was slapped by Nico Ma and fell to the ground again, my head spinning. With Ria Zong's mournful sobs ringing in my ears, sister-in-law suddenly went crazy and started hitting and kicking me. My stomach hurts so much. Nico, please take me to the hospital. Nico Ma couldn't bear to hear this. He picked up Ria Zong and ran out, not forgetting to viciously threaten me. You wait, Zhong Xian. You just wait. If anything happens to Ria or her child, I won't let you off. Nico Ma hurriedly carried Ria Zong away, not once glancing at me lying on the ground, my body soaked in blood. It wasn't until the neighbors heard the noise and came to investigate that they found me lying in a pool of blood. I was rushed to the hospital by kind neighbors for emergency treatment. The baby naturally couldn't be saved, and in such a situation, no consent was needed. The doctor immediately performed a dilation and curettage procedure on me. While I was resting in the hospital room after the DC procedure, Ria Zong came looking for me on her own initiative. She stood over me by the hospital bed, looking down with disdain. Now that your child is gone, you have nothing left to make Nico change his mind, Jong Sion. Once the divorce is done, get lost and don't even dream of reconciling with him. I won't let you succeed. I stared at Ria Zong and said word by word, you will be punished. Karma will get you. Karma, ha. If karma really existed, I'd have suffered enough in my past life. This life is for me to enjoy. Ria Zong wasn't the least bit afraid. She grinned viciously at me. Jong Sion, let's be frank. I'm back, and I know you've come back too. I never expected Ria Zong to have also been reborn. She lowered her voice and said, the moment you agreed to the divorce, I knew you had come back just like me. In our past life, you would rather die than divorce Nico. But this time you agreed so readily. Clearly you're just looking for an opportunity for yourself, but I won't give you that chance. Do you know why you died so miserably in your past life? It's because I left a suicide note for Nico, saying you drove me to my death. She grinned with a vicious, resentful expression. I originally just wanted to put on a show of attempting suicide with little Lingdang, but I never expected things to go wrong and actually die. Heaven gave me a second chance. And I won't give you any opportunity this time, Jong Sion, if you don't want to die like you did in your past life. Pack your things and get out now. I thought Ria Zong was just here to threaten and intimidate me into backing down, but she turned out to be even more shameless than I imagined. I heard the gossip about me in the hospital, with people constantly passing by my ward, whispering and pointing outside. They spoke loudly enough for me to hear their malicious words, calling me shameless, saying I had an affair with a man and got pregnant with an illegitimate child. They claimed I was hospitalized because Nico Ma couldn't take it anymore after learning the truth and beat me up, causing me to miscarry the illegitimate child. I was trembling with rage. No need to think. This must be one of the tactics Ria Zong mentioned. She actually wants to use rumors and gossip to force me out, making way for her and Nico Ma. I wasn't planning to do anything to them. I was already prepared to leave this place once the divorce was finalized. But Ria Zong and Nico Ma have the audacity to tarnish my reputation like this. Do they think I'm an easy target? I clenched the bedsheet tightly, swearing in my heart that Nico Ma and Ria Zong must be punished. I'm currently figuring out how to make that despicable pair pay for what they've done. The hospital room door was pushed open, and a strange woman walked in. I watched her warily as the elegant, dignified stranger gently closed the door and approached me. I know Ria Zong's secret. And I can help you destroy her. Let's work together. On the afternoon of the third day, I was discharged from the hospital and returned home. All along the way, people kept pointing and whispering about me. I acted as if I hadn't heard, pushed open the door, and saw Nico Ma with a gloomy face. He saw me and pointed at me. Well, Jong Sion, why didn't you tell me you're pregnant? Speak up. Whose child is it? Nico Ma, don't you know whose child it is? Of course I don't know. If the child in your belly is mine, why didn't you tell me? Why keep it a secret? Why should I tell you? You've already gone to such lengths for Ria Zong. Do you even care about the child in my womb anymore? Don't you think it's ridiculous? Nico Ma, let me make this clear. Stop pretending in front of me. Ria Zong has already told me everything about your relationship. If you don't want me to report you two for your scandalous affair, you'd better do exactly as I say. Nico Ma didn't expect me to act like a completely different person, guilty and unwilling to confront me directly. He asked, what do you want? Give me money, $1,000, hand it over, and I'll leave, otherwise, I'll go straight to the higher-ups and spill everything. Furious, Nico Ma snapped. Why don't you just rob me instead? I'm telling you, this $1,000 is for my emotional distress. I'm not asking for more, so if you don't want to get fired, just make it quick. I pretended to leave, and Nico Ma had no choice but to agree. $1,000 is too much. I don't have that much on hand. I'll have to scrape it together. Borrowing money isn't easy these days. I can only give you 500, 800, not a cent less. I stood firm, and Nico Ma didn't dare argue. He went out to borrow the money and handed it to me. Here's your money. We're getting divorced tomorrow, and let me warn you, if you dare spread any rumors outside. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Don't worry, I'm a man of my word. After taking the money from Nico Ma, I packed my things and left. With the money in hand, I checked into a state-run hotel and treated myself to a good meal outside to recharge my energy for the night, at 11 o'clock in the dead of night. The world outside was freezing cold, but inside the room, spring was in full bloom. The creaking of the bed was accompanied by a woman's coquettish voice. Nico, be gentle. Nico Ma and Ria Zong were so immersed that they didn't even notice the door being opened, until with a click, the lights in the room turned on, and along with the bright light came my loud shout, "Someone come quick, adulterers caught in the act." Nico Ma and Ria Zong never dreamed I would launch a sudden attack. Suddenly, the lights blazed on, and as I appeared in the room, Nico Ma thought I was alone and actually tried to silence me. "Shut up, Jong Sion. Do you want to die? Shut up right now." Of course, shutting up was out of the question. I grabbed the rolling pin I had prepared earlier and began wildly beating Nico Ma with it, while striking him. I cursed, "Nico Ma, you heartless, shameless scum. How could you betray me like this? How could you betray the military uniform you wear? Everyone, come and see. Take a good look. Nico Ma is utterly devoid of conscience. He's a beast, not a human." As I shouted, people quickly rushed over and were stunned by the scene. What on earth is going on here? Seeing the neighbors pouring in to see what was happening, Nico Ma realized the situation had escalated. He didn't dare to confront me physically and was busy looking for something to cover himself. I swung the rolling pin at him, striking him wildly. Nico Ma truly loved Ria Zong and was afraid I might attack his beloved woman, not forgetting to tightly hold onto Ria Zong to block my rolling pin attacks. While hitting, I tearfully cried out. I noticed something was off with them long ago. I just didn't want to believe they could be this shameless, until Nico Ma forced me to divorce. He knew I was pregnant and still pushed me to divorce. "You're lying. I had no idea you were pregnant." Nico Ma didn't forget to defend himself, even trying to throw mud at me. "That child in her belly isn't mine at all. Who knows which man's bastard it is? She never told me from the start." I intensified my blows, leaving Nico Ma's face covered in blood and in too much pain to slander me. Even if he slanders me, no one would believe him, as his accusations lack any real evidence. While he and Ria Zong are living proof right before everyone's eyes, the truth is clear for all to see. As I continued to strike forcefully, I kept shouting, "Nico Ma has gone too far," forcing me to divorce while forbidding me from going public, saying he feared gossip, and even demanding I take care of Ria Zong during her pregnancy. When I refused, they tried to kill me, caused the death of my unborn child, and then slandered me for immoral behavior. Now everyone can see for themselves who the real immoral ones are, that pair of shameless lovers, using my salary, making me serve them every day, bullying me so brazenly right under my nose. I demand an explanation. The onlookers pointed and commented, "How shameless is this?" I remember it was Ria Zong who spread the rumor that Xiao Zhong was having an affair. Right, exactly. I almost believed it. Who would have thought they were the real culprits crying thief? How despicable. How could they do such a thing? Look at Xiao Zhong. What is she wearing? All patched up clothes, and that woman surnamed Zong. Her outfits never repeat. Idle like some capitalist's spoiled daughter. Exactly. I often see Nico Ma taking Ria Zong and her daughter out shopping, dining, and watching movies, and I frequently see Nico Ma and Ria Zong ordering Xiao Zhong around to do their work. How shameless. We can't let them get away with this. We must give Xiao Zhong justice. Amid the heated discussions filled with righteous indignation, the military leadership arrived. Nico Ma was taken away. The unit leader was extremely angry and sternly told me that they would definitely give me a satisfactory explanation. I knew Nico Ma's official career was over. He was undoubtedly facing expulsion. What I could think of, Ria Zong naturally thought of as well. As the crowd dispersed, she finally had the chance to put on her clothes. Once dressed, Ryozong regained her composure and glared at me with venom. Jong Syan, you wretched bitch, just you wait. At this point, she still dares to yell at me. She really doesn't take me seriously at all. If the tiger doesn't show its might, she'll mistake it for a sick cat. I grabbed Ryozong's hair and slapped her face over a dozen times. Ryozong was beaten until her nose and mouth bled, wailing in agony. Her little brat, Shaoling Dang Dang, tried to step in and help, but how could I possibly give her the chance? A vicious kick sent the little bell flying. The little bell was kicked so hard that it crashed into the wall and fell heavily to the ground, bleeding from the mouth and nose, wailing in agony. Seeing how fierce I was, Ryozong got scared and no longer dared to hurl insults at me, only begging for mercy. I'm pregnant, Jong Syan, let me go, my baby. If you hurt my baby, Nico won't let you off. I'll tell you the truth. This baby is Nico's. If you dare harm our child, Nico will make sure you regret it, even now. She still tried to threaten me with the baby. I let go of her. It's not because I'm afraid of Nico Ma, but because I have other considerations. Beating up Ryozong gave me a sense of relief, so let's leave it at that for now. After all, I know the secrets Ryozong is hiding. This time, I'll just give a small punishment to vent my anger, because what I really want to see is the thrilling story that will unfold in a few months. By then, I hope Nico Ma and Ryozong will still be able to laugh. The disciplinary decision for Nico Ma came down swiftly: expulsion from the party, removal from all positions, and repatriation to his hometown. On the day the punishment was announced, Nico Ma returned in person. He looked over a decade older, disheveled and unshaven. When he saw me, he glared viciously. Are you happy now, Jong Syan, you vicious woman? May you die a horrible death. I looked at him coldly. Cut the crap, go handle the divorce procedures first. At this point, Nico Ma actually refused to divorce. I won't divorce. Nico Ma's refusal to divorce was something I hadn't anticipated. I retorted, why? Don't you plan to take care of your sister Rhea and her child anymore? Nico Ma shamelessly replied, I was just confused for a moment. There's nothing between Ryozong and me, at least not before this. That night, I had too much to drink and mistook her for you, which led to what happened. Now, I plan to turn over a new leaf and live a good life with you. Nico Ma actually tried to deceive me with a pack of lies. He didn't know that Ryozong had already revealed his true colors to me. He didn't know that, having lived a second life, I knew exactly what kind of person he was. Nico Ma, stripped of his official position and expelled, was no fool. He clearly understood the dire situation he would face upon being sent back to his hometown. A person expelled from the party would struggle to find decent work. He needed to eat. And he needed money to support Ryozong and her child. Nico Ma has no money, so he desperately needs a sucker. Nico Ma doesn't know I've been reborn and sees me as that sucker. He thinks that since I once loved him so devotedly and cared for him, I'll surely choose to forgive him under his sweet talk. Jong Syan, I promise to break it off with Ryozong and never have any contact again. Let's not divorce. Let's live a good life together. I burst out laughing. Take a look in the mirror and see what a mess you are now. Do you really think I'm a trash collector? My words made Nico Ma flush with anger and embarrassment. Jong Syan, do you really have the heart to leave me? Let me tell you, I'm giving you a chance here. If you don't take it, I'll really be with Ryozong. My past submissiveness made Nico Ma doubt I would ever dare to give up on him. He even had the audacity to lecture me in that condescending tone. I couldn't take it anymore and directly showed him my trump card. Your dear Rhea already told me everything. How deeply connected you two are, how you've been eyeing each other for a long time. She even said the child in her belly is yours. Seeing me mercilessly expose the truth, Nico Ma had no choice but to shut up resentfully. He realized he could no longer exploit me to toil for them like a beast of burden, and in a sudden, absurd whim, he actually expected me to return the money I had taken from him. Jong Syan, if you return the money you took from me, I'll divorce you. Otherwise, I'll drag this out until you're ruined. If you don't want a divorce, then so be it. Let's see who can outlast whom. I scoffed, seeing that I couldn't care less. Nico Ma flew into a rage and threatened, Jong Syan, I've got nothing left to lose now. A barefoot man fears no shoes. I'll make a scene at your workplace every single day. Nico Ma thought I would be scared by this, but he didn't know I had already prepared a way out. Instead of replying to the editor-in-chief who invited me to work, as I had done before, I called him directly this time. The editor-in-chief was very happy to hear that I was willing to join. He told me to report for duty as soon as I finished handling my current affairs. After receiving the confirmation, I immediately went to my workplace to resign. Nico Ma thought that by dragging out the divorce, he could clip my wings. He assumed that by shamelessly causing scenes at my workplace every day, I would be intimidated. He thought I would compromise and give him money. He was overthinking it. I had already bought a train ticket heading north and left early the next morning. Nico Ma never dreamed he would be fired. He had never taken Jong Sion seriously. From the moment Jong Sion married him, she had never done anything improper. She was gentle and kind-hearted, with eyes only for him. Even though he hadn't given Jong Sion a single penny in 3 years of marriage, she never complained. Nico Ma was absolutely certain that he was Jong Sion's entire world. Initially, he had genuinely wanted to build a good life with Jong Sion, with her refined elegance and excellent temperament. Nico Ma saw nothing wrong with having such a wife by his side for life. What truly changed Nico Ma was a phone call he received from Ryezong a few months ago. On the phone, Ryezong tearfully recounted her husband's death and the inhumane abuse she suffered at the hands of her in-laws. Nico Ma genuinely cared for Ryezong, his adopted sister. They had grown up together, spending every moment side by side since childhood. Nico Ma's parents even openly mentioned to outsiders that Ryezong was Nico Ma's child bride. Thus, Nico Ma had protected Ryezong since childhood, cherishing her like the apple of his eye. He always believed that once he grew up, he would marry Ryezong and start a family with her. But then, an unexpected change suddenly occurred. When Ryezong was 18, she secretly fell in love with a city official's child. She got together with the official's child. Nico Ma, who witnessed them together, was heartbroken. He asked Ryezong, "Why? Why is this?" Ryezong told him, "I have no other feelings for you. I only see you as a brother." Ryezong followed the children of Carders to the city without hesitation. Nico Ma had always thought he would never have any dealings with Ryezong again, but to his surprise, after his promotion, he actually received a call from her. After all, she was a woman he had once loved, someone he had genuinely adored for over a decade. Nico Ma went to see Ryezong. Though he had no intention of bringing her back, he just intended to back Ryezong up, so that her in-laws would treat her better. But everything took on a different tone when he saw Ryezong. He actually ended up being with Ryezong. Seeing Ryezong with reddened eyes filled him with guilt. The woman he once loved but couldn't have was now right in front of him. She tearfully confessed her mistaken choice and sincerely apologized, begging Nico Ma to forgive her. Nico Ma was no heartless stone, so he naturally forgave Ryezong. He brought Ryezong back, intending to properly settle her. He had no intention of divorcing Jong Sion after all, since she had done nothing wrong. But then something unexpected happened that Nico Ma hadn't anticipated. Ryezong was actually pregnant. The child was undoubtedly his. After careful consideration, Nico Ma accepted Ryezong's suggestion, divorced Jong Sion, and gave Ryezong and the child a family. His initial plan was simply to use his connections to find Ryezong a job, making it easier to take care of the child. At first, he had no intention of breaking up with Jong Sion. But later things spiraled out of control to such an irreparable extent. Jong Sion was also pregnant, but tragically had a miscarriage. Now that things have come to this point, there's no turning back. He can only continue down this dark path. He feared Jong Sion would hold him accountable. So he had no choice but to slander her integrity against his conscience. Nico Ma never expected Jong Sion to be aware of his affair with Ryezong. He was even more shocked that Jong Sion could be so cunning, delivering a fierce counterattack against his betrayal. After being fired, Nico Ma learned how fickle the world is and how people's attitudes change with circumstances. He was in desperate need of money and thought he could manipulate Jong Sion. Nico Ma wasn't joking. He had no income and indeed intended to use this to control Jong Sion. He knew her well. She valued her reputation and would never let him make a scene. But when Nico Ma went to Jong Sion's workplace to cause trouble, he learned she had already left. No one knew where she had gone. Nico Ma returned home dejected, unable to find Jong Sion to take advantage of. He had no choice but to swallow his pride and beg his former colleague for help. After pleading humbly, his colleague, out of past camaraderie, arranged a security guard job for him to make ends meet, once a high-ranking official who rode in cars with bodyguards. He had now fallen to the point of guarding gates. The psychological was unimaginable, but at least he still had a job, at least he wouldn't end up homeless or starving. Nico Ma had to rent 2 small rooms outside after the military reclaimed his residence. The immense psychological left him feeling miserable, and his only hope now lies with the child in Ryezong's womb. He lost his status and job, but at least he hasn't lost love. He has the company of his beloved woman and their child. He has hope, and so he held on to hope, waiting day after day. Finally, Ryezong's belly grew bigger and bigger, and her temper grew worse and worse. Once, Nico Ma had a good job and could enjoy the finer things in life. But now his salary was just enough to make ends meet, can't enjoy good food, can't wear new clothes, can't live the good life like before. Ryezong's complaints were endless, starting with quiet grumbling and escalating to outright scolding without any regard for face. Nico Ma tolerated it for the sake of her pregnancy, but his patience didn't calm Ryezong down. Instead, her temper grew worse. Finally, when Ryezong pointed at his nose and called Nico Ma a coward and a failure for making her live this miserable, half-human half-ghost existence, he couldn't take it anymore and pushed her down. Ryezong was sent to the hospital after showing signs of bleeding. Nico Ma anxiously waited outside the emergency room. Clasping his hands in prayer for the safety of both Ryezong and their child, he even made a personal vow. If Ryezong and the child were safe and sound, he was willing to give up 10 years of his own life. God heard his desperate prayers, and finally, the operating room door opened. The nurse walked out carrying a swaddled bundle and told Nico Ma, both mother and child are safe. Hearing this, Nico Ma rushed over in uncontrollable joy to take the baby. But the moment he saw the child's face clearly, his hands suddenly loosened. How can this be? Why is the baby blonde and blue-eyed? Is there some mistake? The baby in the swaddling clothes fell to the ground when Nico Ma let go, crying loudly. Nico Ma, however, had no mind to care for the child on the ground, only grabbing the nurse for an explanation. Seeing this, the nurse had no choice but to pick up the child from the ground and tell him again, "This is the child taken from the mother's womb." Absolutely genuine. Nico Ma went mad, desperately barged into the operating room to see what was going on. In the operating room, there was no one else except Ryezong. She lay unconscious on the operating table, her belly now flat. So this child really came from Ryezong's womb. So the child Ryezong was carrying wasn't his at all. Did she get pregnant by hooking up with some other man, maybe even a foreigner, and now expects me to take the blame? Nico Ma was furious. If the child wasn't a foreigner but a black-haired, yellow-skinned Chinese, he would never have noticed anything wrong. Wouldn't that mean he'd be stuck taking the blame forever, never uncovering the truth? Nico Ma thought about how he had lost everything. His job, his dignity, because of Ryezong, and his anger boiled over. He couldn't bear such betrayal. This was too cruel for him. Nico Ma shook Ryezong awake and pressed her about the child. At this point, Ryezong didn't bother pretending anymore. After all, Nico Ma was now nothing, and she didn't want to waste any more time with him. She directly confronted Nico Ma. "Who the hell do you think you are? What right do you have to ask about my child? You were the one begging to be the father of the baby in my belly. If you don't want to be the dad, there are plenty of others who do." Nico Ma never expected Ryezong to speak to him like that. Having lost everything because of Ryezong, he was now being discarded like trash by her. Overcome with rage, Nico Ma lost control and violently grabbed Ryezong by the throat. "Bitch, you heartless, ungrateful bitch, die." I left quietly and went straight to the capital. The editor-in-chief warmly welcomed my arrival, personally arranged accommodation for me, and even hosted a welcome dinner in my honor. The day after my arrival, I went to the publishing house and began my new job. I threw myself wholeheartedly into my work, writing and revising manuscripts with all my might. I forgot the pain that Nico Ma and Ryezong had caused me. Hard work pays off. In just over half a year since arriving in the capital, I had published more than 10 prose poems and essays, and even released a new book with over 800,000 words. The new book sold exceptionally well and received highly favorable reviews, just as my career was flourishing. I received an unexpected phone call. The person on the other end informed me that my nominal husband, Nico Ma, had been arrested and asked me to return. In the 6 months since arriving in the capital, I had gradually forgotten about Nico Ma. Suddenly receiving a call about Nico Ma, I was surprised but already had a guess. I took leave the next day and rushed back. This time, I was going back to make a clean break with Nico Ma. I met Nico Ma in the detention center, handcuffed and shackled. Looking much older than he had 6 months earlier, when he saw me, Nico Ma lowered his head and began to stammer out a fragmented confession. "I'm sorry, Cyan, I wronged you, I was deceived. Reazong is so shameless." I interrupted him. "It's true that Reazong is shameless. But don't you think you're just as shameless as she is?" Facing imminent death, Nico Ma still tried to justify himself. "I was deceived by her. She kept me in the dark all along." I laughed. "Do you want to know what really happened when Reazong left with those City Carders kids back then?" You know, of course," I smiled. "I know far more than you could ever imagine." Nico Ma had always believed that Reazong was a good person, convinced that she had married into a family where her husband died and her in-laws mistreated and neglected her. Little did he know, Reazong had deceived Nico Ma from the very beginning. The reason Reazong was disliked by her in-laws wasn't their fault. It was entirely her own doing. Reazong was never a devoted or loyal person. She was always eyeing greener pastures elsewhere. After following the high-ranking official's son she believed into the city, she regretted it when she realized he wasn't as powerful as she had thought. Reazong quickly became involved with another, more powerful man through her husband. Her infidelity led to her husband's death. And her in-laws despised her, driving her and her daughter, Little Belle, out of the house. After being cast out, Reazong continued to pursue the married man she had seduced, intending to break up his family. But his wife was too influential. She forcefully severed the relationship between Reazong and her husband. And only after Reazong could no longer stay in the city did she think of Nico Ma. Upon learning that Nico Ma had been promoted to a high-ranking officer in the military, Reazong's eyes lit up, and she immediately saw him as the perfect fallback option. She called Nico Ma and, leveraging his lingering feelings for her, successfully gained his sympathy. While waiting for Nico Ma to come pick her up, she couldn't resist her loneliness due to lack of money and food. So she continued seeking out other men. Then she met a foreigner who gave Reazong a sum of money and indulged in pleasure with her for 3 days and 3 nights. Later, Nico Ma came to pick her up. And Reazong seized the opportunity to have intimate relations with him. So when she became pregnant, Reazong naturally assumed the child was Nico Ma's. She thought that by going with Nico Ma, she could continue to enjoy a life of luxury. It's just a pity that an accident happened. In the previous life, Nico Ma had a tiny bit of conscience and hesitated after I took the initiative to reveal my pregnancy. Seeing this, Reazong left a heartfelt suicide note, pretending to kill herself to force Nico Ma to make a choice, but unexpectedly, playing with fire led to real death. Her suicide turned into actual demise. In the previous life, after her death, Nico Ma blamed everything on me and went all out to destroy me. In this lifetime, I didn't play their games with them. She thought she could finally have her way, but little did she know that the wife of the powerful man she was trying to seduce found out about her affair with Nico Ma. The other party approached me on their own and revealed all of Reazong's hidden secrets to me. The foreigner who gave Reazong money was arranged by the other party, whose sole intention was to take those compromising photos to ruin Reazong's reputation. But they never expected that Reazong would actually manage to hook up with Nico Ma, who still had lingering feelings for her. The other party gave me all the explicit photos of Reazong with the foreigner, thinking I would use them to ensure Reazong meets a gruesome end. But I thought further. I wanted Reazong to bear the child, to make Nico Ma and Reazong turn on each other. My goal was achieved. Reazong met her maker. As for Nico Ma, what awaits him is the death penalty. Yet he still apologizes and repents to me. He tried to seek my forgiveness, but how could I ever forgive him? I looked at him and said word by word, "You brought all of this upon yourself, you shameless scum. Go down and be lovey-dovey with your dear Rhea." Upon learning the truth, Nico Ma widened his eyes in shock and stumbled backward, collapsing onto the ground. With a smile, I stood up and walked away, leaving Nico Ma staring in astonishment. Stepping out of the detention center, the sunlight was brilliant and the spring breeze brushed against my face. I strode forward with determination, embracing the beautiful and exciting life that had already begun for me.